Hello and welcome to the AURA Podcast with your girl, Kubi Springer. Today I am sitting down with globally renowned therapist, Marisa Peer. Marisa has been a therapist to the biggest stars in the world, the global leaders around the world, and everyday people like me and you. In this interview, we sat down and we talked about how it is that she came up with some of the amazing philosophies that she's known for, like RTT and the idea of I am enough.
80% of your success is the mindset of I'm worth it, I'm enough, I matter, I'm significant. And the biggest thing is our relationship with people. That will make you happy. My father had a poverty mindset. He always bought everything that was reduced. And I had to say, you know what? That's not my life.
This was so good because for me personally, she was my therapist over YouTube during COVID. So I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did. Let's get into it. Marisa, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm fangirling. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you. That's so nice.
It is such a joy for me to have you on the AURA podcast. And before I go into why that's so important for me and so special, I just want to ask you, is this your first time here?
No, I've been here before. I've had a wonderful time here.
Really? So you've done the sunbathing?
I have done everything.
Morning or evening?
Evening, which was great. Had dinner here. Started off being very hot and then it got a bit windy. It was perfect.
So you watched the sun go down?
I did. Loved it.
Was you on this side of the AURA or the other side?
This side.
This side, yeah. It's special, isn't it?
Very special.
You're now living in Dubai.
I am.
How long have you been here?
1 year and 5 months.
And how's the first year been?
I loved it. I mean, I was living in Los Angeles. It wasn't really too hard to move here because it's got a lot of stuff that LA has without the crime.
Yes.
So I found it very easy to transition. It's a great country. I'm really happy here.
And what made you decide to come to Dubai?
I was speaking for the government at the Government World Summit in February 2023, and I had no intention of moving here, but I had a job at the beginning and at the end of February, and by the time I left, I was like, we're going to move here. So we went back to LA, sold our house, and moved here in November.
That was like that?
Just like that,
yes. Yeah. I love those stories. For me, Marisa, I came here on holiday with my daughter, and we were actually coming here to reconnect with her dad, who she hadn't seen during COVID. And I saw the smile on her face, and I said, "Babes, do you want to stay?" And she said, "Yes." And we stayed.
Yeah. I think Dubai does that. You come out for a holiday. I came here for a year, 15 years ago, so I'm very happy here. We love it.
It's beautiful. I want to go back to the beginning of your career.
Okay.
You are one of the most sought after people in the world. You have worked with leaders, celebrities, the everyday person, and you transform human beings. But where did that come from? Take me back from the beginning.
Do you know, it started really seeing my father. My father was a very unusual head teacher. He believed that every child should be made to feel important and significant. But I saw in him not just transforming lives, but the joy and fulfillment it gave him. So I always wanted a career that did the same. And initially I thought I would be a teacher too. Then I thought I'd be a child psychologist. But I realized being a therapist was the most powerful way to change people's lives. So he influenced me. And then I went to work for Jane Fonda, and I saw then how many women had eating disorders, and they were trying to fix it with aerobics. And having an eating, in the nicest way, is a mental illness, and you can't fix it with working out in the gym. And I was looking for something, and I created eventually my own method called RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, that does fix it. And I was having amazing success with bulimic and anorexic girls. And then I just branched out into everything from fear of bees to fear of elevators to fear of flying. And then from there I began to teach it, and here we are. Now we've trained nearly 20,000 people in this method, 450 of them here in Dubai.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. Let's touch on RTT, because I have seen friends of mine go into therapy and they're in it for years and years. And one friend in particular who 20 years she's been seeing the same person, and I have desperately tried to say, babe, it's not working. And so when I stumbled across you, I said, this makes so much sense. So what is it for those who don't know?
Well, RTT is called Rapid for a reason, because in a session we do something very simple. We find the pattern, understand the pattern, and change the pattern all at the same time. So let's say you have a fear of birds. we go back, because the brain always goes backwards and find out. And I had a client who, when he was a little boy, he was climbing in the dad's shed, which he wasn't allowed to be in, and a decomposed bird landed in his mouth. And of course, that's where he got the fear of birds, but he didn't remember that. So I was, I've got a fear, and I guess there's something wrong with it. They go, oh no, look, this happened when I was 3. I didn't have the understanding. At 3, there's no logic or only a feeling, and the feeling is birds are terrifying. So you've got to find the pattern. But more than finding it, you have to make sense of it and say, look, any kid would have reacted this way. And then you totally change it. You do what I call rewiring the brain to say, you're safe around birds, you like birds, birds give you joy and pleasure. And some therapy tries to find the pattern, and some therapy tries to change it, but the combination of find it, make sense of it, change it all at the same time is what makes it powerful and permanent.
And what is it that needs to happen in that session for it to stick? Because I would assume there might be some people in the moment, they say, I understand, my logic brain tells me I was a child, it was a bird, but then 3 years later they revert back. How does it stick?
You see, the logical brain doesn't have any impact. Here's a rule of the mind. Emotion will defeat logic every single time. You know, I could say to an alcoholic, logically stop drinking and have a cup of tea, but emotionally they go, well, I know that, but I'm powerless. I could say to someone who's a binge eater, look, don't eat all that ice cream, have some blueberries. But logic doesn't work. All our addictions and fears and phobias come from the emotional brain. The subconscious mind doesn't think, it feels. It's why if you go and stand on that ledge, you go, oh, my stomach's dropping, even though I know I'm safe and I've got a window behind me. So logical therapy doesn't work because the emotional mind runs the show every single time. I mean, what's the fear of public speaking? It's the fear of being rejected, a fear of heights, which is very common. I mean, I remember standing very high in this building, and if you go too close to the edge, your legs go to jelly. And logically, you know you're safe, but the emotional brain doesn't care. So if you're doing logical therapy, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. Go back to the emotional mind and negotiate with it. Here's something very interesting. 1,000 years ago, hunger was the biggest killer. It wasn't war or disease. And today we go, oh my God, I'm hungry. And the emotional brain goes, this is going to kill you. Eat anything, cold potato chips, doesn't matter. Just cram it all in. Because our emotional brain still says, I will die of hunger. I'm hungry now. But the logical brain can't defeat that. But you can go back and say to the emotional brain, hey, you know, I am hungry, but I'm going to wait an hour till I get home and I'm going to have some chicken and some salad. I'm not going to eat these chips just because they're here. So the emotional brain runs the show, but you can go back and say, oh yeah, I am scared of being rejected. I'm a bit nervous about this date, but actually the only person who can reject me is me, and I'm never doing that. Yes, I'm feeling I need to eat, but I can wait. Yes, I'm giving a talk and I think I'm scared of public speaking, but really I'm scared of being rejected, and I've got something to say and I'm good at it and I can't be rejected. So you have to work with the emotional brain. Because if emotion dictates our feeling, which it does, I mean, overeating is emotional, addictions are emotional, but you can negotiate with the emotional brain. So if someone is terrified of mice, you can, it's no good talking about it, you have to go back and get the brain to feel comfortable.
How did you do that for yourself? Because your own story is really fascinating.
Yeah.
How did you give yourself the tools when you were young, single mum, and didn't have the life that you have now? How did you do that?
Well, you know, my father was my head teacher, which I would never recommend. So I felt like a freak at school because the biggest thing for kids is we have to be the same. We connect by being the same. And I felt very different because my dad was my head teacher. But I did something very common. I took it with me. I began to when I was 25, I still had that feeling, and I realized, oh, I'm continuing. So, you know, here's the thing. We play the only part we've ever known until we make that part our own. So I had a part, I'm a freak. And I kept it going. And then one day I thought, I don't have to do this anymore. And I totally changed what I believed, what I thought. You see, a belief is nothing more than a thought. You think a lot. I thought I was a freak. And I decided I wasn't. I was normal. I never felt enough as a kid. And I began to think, well, this is good because I can create the I'm enough movement. I have all these bracelets that say it. And I have a lot of kids who feel not enough. You know, we live in a multicultural world now. Many kids feel different and not enough. But it was noticing how I had played the only part I'd ever known, long after that part was even relevant or appropriate or interesting.
I love that. We play the part.
We play the only part we've ever known. And then we make that part our very own.
And then we make that part our very own. That's so true. I found you at one of the hardest times in my life. I was 41. I'd been with my partner for 10 years. And we got married and we had this beautiful wedding in Barbados. And then 2 years later, so we were together for 8 years, got married. 2 years later, I found out he had cheated on me with multiple women and the marriage was over.
Of course.
Of course, yes. And when that happened, because I just turned 40 and all the women he cheated on me were in their 20s, I felt ugly, Marisa. I can't over-explain. I felt old, I felt ugly, and everything that the world tells a dark-skinned black woman, I laid it on myself as my story. And then I found you, and I am enough.
Yeah.
It was a game changer for me. I think I listened to you every single day during COVID, doing all of the exercises, the one in the mirror, standing up naked, you know, the inner child work, all of that, until I started to believe it. But it probably took me a good part of a year and a half to switch the feeling from I'm old, I'm ugly, he didn't want me because I'm now in my 40s, to I'm powerful.
You're in your prime.
I'm in my prime, literally.
Yeah, of course.
Is it normal for people to take that long, or is it because I wasn't sitting with you? What do you think?
Change happens in three ways. Instant change, but there's also something called cumulative change, like bit by bit I'm changing. And then there's something called retroactive change. I didn't even know I changed. Like, I stopped screaming at my kids. I don't have those headaches anymore. So we all change differently. The mind learns by repetition. It can take 10 days for you to change, or it can take longer. Because of course, for 40 years of telling yourself you're not enough, now you've got to start saying, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. And it kind of works like this. Your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create your behaviors. And we're so busy trying to change our actions, but you've got to go back and change the thinking. I'm worthy, I'm enough, I'm lovable, I matter, over and over again. And for some people it happens within a week, and for others they say, no, it was a year. We all change differently, but it doesn't matter. You're changing from the minute you do it. You may not notice the change. And of course, you've been through a lot of pain. Rejection is our core fear. We're all terrified of being rejected. All these songs are, no one loves me, I'm on my own, you're the only one for me. And the media makes us believe we're fragile, because years ago rejection would kill you, but now it doesn't kill you. So it just took you a while, but you got there. I love this expression, doesn't matter how long it takes to climb a mountain, when you get to the top, the view is the same for everyone.
Absolutely.
And you got to the top.
I got to the top. There's a saying I posted on Instagram, I think it was yesterday, and I believe it came from you originally, and it is, the journey is the destination.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, because I think we never get there. We're always journeying, aren't we?
Exactly. There's no destination called happiness. I'm happy and I'm going over there. There's the terminal. Happiness is an inside job. And you've got to say, I'm happy now. My kid's a baby. I'm up all night. I'm happy now. If you're going to happiness, you'll never get there. Happiness is now. And if you want to be unhappy, try to be perfect. You'll be the loneliest, unhappiest person in the world. Because the truth is, I'm a flawed person, and so are you. We can have a beautiful, flawed relationship. It's called being flawsome. So be flawsome, but don't try to be perfect. There's no happiness there.
Be flawsome.
Yeah, I'm flawed, my husband's flawed, my kid's flawed. We have a flawsome relationship. Because if you can say, gosh, you love me with my flaws, if you can say you love me because I'm perfect, but I'm not, so I'm going to have to keep playing that part. But happiness is an inside job. You've got to choose it. I'm choosing to be happy right now. With everything going on, if you can just say, I choose happiness, your brain picks it, and then you start to go, oh, my first cup of coffee makes me happy. Getting into clean sheets makes me happy. Having a shower makes me happy. But if you're saying, I'll be happy when never comes. So choose happiness, find it in the simplest things. Because if you look to them and say, what makes you happy? They go, hearing my kid laugh, having my first cup of tea. They never say flying first class to Santorini. It's the simple things, and the biggest thing is our relationship with people. That will make you happy.
Absolutely. And that happiness is a choice, which I'm a big subscriber of. It's always a choice. And every day we're making those choices, aren't we?
Yeah. And the same thing with connection. People say I'm alone. I'm like, look, if you're not choosing connection, you're choosing disconnection. You have to choose it. I can find people wherever I am in the world. Choose happiness. Choose to believe you're enough. And choose to find connection.
It sounds so simple, and I am sure there's going to be somebody that's listening going, yeah, well, that's easy for you, or that sounds simple. But that language in and of itself is part of the blocker, isn't it?
We see people say that, leopard can't change his spots. Change is really hard work. Being married is so hard. Having a kid is so hard, and that's not true. But if you say it, you'll make it true, because your mind... Its job is to make your thoughts real. If you think a sad thought, your eyes fill up with tears. Think of something embarrassing, go bright red. So it isn't hard to change your thoughts. And when you say I'm enough, the power is actually in the strength, the simplicity, and indeed the honesty. If you say, I'm a millionaire goddess, you go, well, I'm not really, am I? Because I live in this horrible apartment. So when we say things like, I'm a rock star, I'm a superstar, the brain goes, no, you're not. But when you say I'm enough, it goes, of course you are. Yeah. You're always happy and you always will be. So you want to make statements that sink in. And I'm enough is the most powerful statement you can ever make, because your mind won't, and even if it did reject it, if you say it enough, it goes, oh, here you go again with that enoughness. You say it so much, it must be true. And now it's going to sink in like butter on warm toast and nourish you from the inside out.
It is nourishing. Even the words, nourishing. I am enough. It's nourishing to the soul. I found, I was listening to you at Mind Valley just this year. You can tell I'm a fan, right?
Thank you.
Listening to you at Mind Valley. And one of the things that you did, you had the entire audience crying, is that you told us to go back to that inner child.
Yes.
Talk us through that exercise and why it's so powerful.
Well, our emptiness inside that drives us to overeat, overdrink, overshop comes from the unmet needs of a child. And the unmet needs are very simple. Children need to feel safe, connected, loved, and significant. And most of us don't. And then we think, oh, hey, those needs never got met. But here's the thing. It is your parents' job to meet those needs until you're 20. And then it's your job. And you can do it better than anyone. So we go back and have a look at that kid. Oh, I didn't feel safe. My dad never visited. I was abandoned. I was a poor kid in a rich school, a rich kid in a poor school. And I felt different. Then we get them to say, but this is not your life now. That was the bow, but you're the arrow. When you fire an arrow, it goes as far away from the bow as it can, and no one goes, hey, where's the bow? They go, look at that arrow, it's gone so fast, so sleek. So we're an arrow. And if your childhood is the bow, its job is to fire you away from it, because you're not going back there. So having people go back and find that little kid and say, I matter, I'm enough, I'm significant. And then imagine that child is living with you, going home with you. So when I was a kid, my father had a poverty mindset. He always bought everything that was reduced. And I had to say, you know what? That's not my life. I don't have to look at the price of groceries. I can buy the most expensive tuna fish. I'm not buying reduced things. Because my father came from a poor family, so he was playing that part. I came from a middle-class family. But I had to look at the part I was playing and say to that little kid, you're safe. You live with me now. You don't live there. So if you can imagine closing your eyes and taking that kid to wherever you live and going around and going, look, you don't wear second-hand clothes. You're not wearing hand-me-downs. You don't have to go to bed when your parents say, or eat what they say. You can have dinner for breakfast and breakfast for dinner. You can stay up all night. So when you take the child into your world and upgrade them, we're so busy upgrading our phones, we've forgotten to upgrade our thoughts. This is the most important software in the world. Don't worry about upgrading your laptop. Upgrade your own software. So take that child and go, hey, look, you live here. You've got a credit card, you've got a car, you've got a job. And then you say these words, you live in my world. You're safe with me. And I'm here meeting those needs. And then you say, you're significant, you're safe, you're lovable, you matter. I'm significant, I'm safe, I'm lovable, I matter. Your words will shape your entire reality, and you can change it like that by using better words. After all, words create magic. That's why it's called spelling. Words are magic. We think our words out, and so often we use awful words. I'm not enough, this will never work, everything I touch falls apart. Forgetting our mind's job is to make our thoughts real. And our job, which is a great job is to think better thoughts, upgrade the child, go, but that's not my life. It was my life. I was a bullied kid, a lonely kid, a sad kid. I met somebody recently who said, my mother homeschooled me. I was the loneliest kid in the world, and now I'm the loneliest adult in the world, because he was still playing that part. And I'm like, but you're not that kid. Your mother, with the best intention, made a totally wrong decision. You do not homeschool 14-year-old boys. Boys go to school to have friends, to kiss girls, to learn, to join a group. But today you can do all of those things because you're not that kid. And so for him, he was married within a year because he realized, I'm still playing a part for one reason. It's familiar. That's all it is.
It's familiar. I love the idea that you are encouraging us to take responsibility.
Yeah.
That's what that exercise did for me personally. It was, you took us back. Okay, we saw what was going on with the inner child. For me, it was 8 years old. But then when we got my little Kubi into my apartment here in Dubai, all of a sudden your body changes.
Yes, everything changes.
Because you as the adult are taking responsibility for whatever that hurt or pain is. So powerful.
Well, responsibility means an ability to respond. If you're responsible, you're able to respond and say, my childhood was horrible. But if your life was a clock, your childhood is the first 8 minutes. You've got 52 minutes left to make it amazing. And many people we look at, Oprah Winfrey, Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, Louise Hay, came from horrible childhoods. But they said, well, that's behind me. It's not in front of me. So you always have a choice. No matter how bad it is, you have a choice to go, well, that was then. But the rest of my life is going to be amazing because it's up to me now. And that's what being responsible is. When I was a kid, I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have Alexa or Sonos, so I wouldn't go, I can't have Alexa. I didn't have it when I was 4. That would sound crazy, but that's what we do. I can't have love because I didn't have a dad. I can't have money, I didn't go to university. It's like saying, well, I can't have a laptop because I didn't have one when I was 6. But nobody said, I want a laptop, I'll get one. You can go out and get love and success. In fact, you can have it all the time. First, you've got to believe you're worth it, and you've got to work on that a lot. 80% of your success is the mindset of I'm worth it, I'm enough, I matter, I'm significant. And it's your job to say it over and over again, especially if you work for yourself with no boss to go, hey, you were great today. You have to go and go, hey, I was great today. Your mind neither knows or cares where the words come from. Many of us saying, well, who out there is going to make me feel good? You. And you can do it better than anyone. You just say those things. Think of what a great boss, a great parent, or indeed a great partner would say. You're amazing. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're so smart. And say it yourself. I'm amazing. I'm smart. I'm lovable. I'm here for a reason. Because the mind doesn't go, who's saying that? It goes, you see, if I put lotion on dry skin, my brain doesn't go, is that full of parabens or is it super organic? It all goes in. And when you say I'm enough or I'm not enough, it goes in. Words are balm for your soul, like lotion is balm for your skin.
I love that.
But you've got to have good words, good balm.
You've got to have good words. The idea of where we are right now, the world, one would say, is upside down.
Yeah.
You turn on the news and there is all the reasons to feel fearful.
Sure.
There is all the reasons to feel panicked. If somebody's watching and they are feeling fearful, feeling panicked, that their perceived reality is they don't have enough money, they're stuck. What would you say to that person right now?
One of our human needs is certainty, one of the most core needs. And we're living in a very uncertain world with a perma-crisis, but you must be the certainty. So, I was a single parent living in debt. But I always told my daughter, Mummy, have you got money? I go, darling, we're so rich, we're wealthy. I never said we have money. I said, we're rich, we're wealthy, we're abundant, we have so much. And I always use, I'm wealthy, I'm rich, because most of us are. If you go to a really poverty-stricken country, you realize, wow, I've got it made. So even if you're living in a horrible apartment on a limited wage, start to say, I am abundant and I can manifest wealth. A lot of us do this weird thing. We go, look at that rich bitch. Those people are filthy rich. They've got an obscene amount of money. Now, if you say that, you're already telling your brain money is bad. So you're not going to make any because you've said it's obscene, filthy rich, dirty money, fat cat, rich bitch. You've got to say wealth is beautiful. One of the fastest ways to attract wealth is to make a list of everything that's good. What could you do? Whose kids would you put through school? What charity would you do? Who would you employ? Make the list as long as you can, and then make another list. What's bad about money? Make that really small. Oh, you never know who your friends are. Well, that's not true. Rich people aren't good. They're not. The Bible said pursuing money is the root of all evil, but it didn't. It said pursuing money at the expense of everything else is the root of all evil.
Correct.
So make the list small about what's bad and really long about what's good, and your brain will say, oh, money is good. And I can do really good things, and I can help people, therefore I will manifest that wealth. But you have to have, I'm worth it, I deserve it, and I do beautiful things with it, because that cancels out all the filthy, rich, dirty money. And the more you can see it like that, like people say, spiritual people shouldn't have money. A lot of spiritual people do great things with wealth. They're putting schools in Africa. One of my friends is rewilding whole swathes of Europe because he has the money to do it. Mm-hmm. Don't be scared of money. See it as something you can do wonderful things with. You know, I'm very lucky that the more successful I became, the more I could put my program into schools free. And I have stuff all over YouTube. I have to pay someone to film that, edit it, and put it up there and manage it, but I could only do that when I had wealth. When I was a therapist just making enough to pay the bills, I couldn't make anything free. So if you think the more I have, the more other people benefit, the more I have, the more I give, because nature requires a balance, giving and receiving. You can't give a breath without taking one. You can't take one without giving. So you've got to go back and look at your money blocks. And many of us have money blocks before we're 7. Our parents say, I can't find the money.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
I don't have the money. If you have more, I have less. And then we get fearful of, I can't find it. You don't find money, you monetize a gift. And if you can teach your kids, darling, you've got a gift, you're going to monetize this gift. You were given this gift, and let me help you monetize it. So if you have a gift, be an artist or a designer, you also have to learn marketing and message. But we're so lucky we can go on the internet, it's all free. You know, I write books and I find that very easy, but I had to learn to be a speaker. I had to learn search engine, what is the titles that sell? And I learned something very interesting. People don't buy a book, they buy a promise. You can put the promise in your title, it sells better. But I didn't know that till I did some research, free research. And so you're on the planet to find your gift, and then you must perfect your gift and perfect your sense of I'm worth it, and then take your gift to market. You only have to be good at one thing.
And do it well.
You can do it well. There's so many people who never went to college who've created how to shape eyebrows and become millionaires, how to do something I never would have thought of and become millionaires. So the world is ready for you to expand your potential, but you've got to start with self-belief. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll go into sabotage.
I also believe that the idea of self-belief and confidence is a muscle. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes.
You know, people often say to me, so I do a lot of keynotes, and they say, how do you talk in front of 10,000 people? Was you scared? And I said, well, if it was the first keynote I did, then I would have been.
Sure.
But I started with 100 people, and it's a muscle, isn't it? This idea of self-belief.
Yeah, the first time I gave a speech, I had to hold on to a podium. My legs were shaking, my knees were knocking. I was holding on to that thing for dear life. And then by the 50th time, I'd walk around the audience. I didn't need a podium anymore. But of course, you're building that muscle when you do something. It's like the first time you do the plank, or the first time you put a lens in your eye, it feels really alien. So here's something amazing about the brain. It likes what is familiar, and it wants to go back to what is familiar, even if it's bad. So if you never have praise and says you're great, you go, no, I'm not really. I'm just winging it here. But if the brain likes what is familiar, which is a fact, here's another fact. You've got to make good stuff familiar and say, oh, I love speaking in public. What's nervous? I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm excited. I love it. Because you can change anything if you change how you see it. So people who like speaking find it interesting, but we do have a muscle of confidence. We have another muscle of praise. And in this world where we're working for ourselves, our praise muscle often withers away. So if you want to make something familiar, make it praise. I'm a good person. I've got something to offer the world. I'm smart. I'm lovable. I'm interesting. And if you say that every day, your praise muscle will grow and grow and grow. You've got to keep saying it so it doesn't wither away. But see, you have a praise muscle, a confidence muscle, a success muscle. Forget about perfect abs. have perfect affirmations instead. Much better.
I love this. I'm getting the wrap-up sign, which is frustrating because I could talk to you all
I
day.
know, me too.
Right. What would it be? You've been interviewed by a lot of people. What would be the one question you would love somebody like me to ask you that they don't ask?
How fast can I change? And is it easy?
So
Here's the you get to change twice every day of your life. Change a thought or a belief, and it will change your action. So instead of saying change, to go, oh, every day I get the chance to start again. I get to give myself a different belief. I'm smart. My daughter one day was reading. She goes, Mummy, I can't read this book. I said, give me that book. I said, well, you're 6 and this is for 8. Your teacher thinks you're clever. She goes, give it me back. I can read it. I said, your teacher thinks you're so clever. She's giving you an older book. So they're saying this book is too hard. She went, oh, my teacher sees something in me. And she began to read it. So change your thinking. I can. The words that follow I am will follow you your entire life. So make sure what goes after I am is going to go after you. I am worthy. I am lovable. I am smart. I'm interesting. And if you just say that, remember you get a chance to change every single day. And we're all scared of change for one reason. What if it goes wrong? If you can control the direction of change in your life and make it positive, you will never fear change.
even if it does go wrong, it's not wrong.
But even if it goes wrong, you can choose how to feel about that. That was wrong, that person was wrong, that job was wrong, but I've got a chance to find something better. I got fired, I got dumped. I look back and I go, that was the best thing that ever happened. I'm so glad that guy dumped me.
So glad the divorce happened.
I'm so glad I got dumped, because rejection can be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
If you can reframe, if you go, oh no, that person ripped at my heart and stumbled away, I'll never have love again, then you're allowing them to have power. If you can say, wow, they can't dictate my life, I can. I listened to Demi Moore saying, someone told me I wasn't enough. And it really affected me. But someone doesn't tell you, you tell them. If someone says you're not enough, you go, really? Let me show you that I am. You must never let someone tell you who you are or what you are. You tell them. Someone said, Elizabeth Taylor, you'll never be a movie star, just an actress. And she went, really? I'll show you. And she did.
And she did.
She did.
She
But
did.
Demi said, no, I was told I was a popcorn actress. People will tell you lots of stuff. You're not enough. You're not interesting. That's their choice. Your choice is do not let that in. You have the power to go, that's going over my head. That's your opinion, it's not mine. And if you can choose only to let in good stuff, constructive criticism is good stuff, negative is bad, you can change your life every day.
Love that. I always do some quick fire questions for our guests. So I'm going to quick fire some questions at you. Is that all right?
Sure.
They're normally, the team put fun and beautiful things in. So let's go. Keynote speaking or one-on-one coaching?
Keynote speaking, because you can impact so many more people.
Yeah, I love that. And you are a phenomenal keynote speaker.
Thank you.
Sunrise yoga or evening stroll?
Evening stroll.
Why?
Because I love the coolness of the evening. I just find the evening, when the day is ending, you can have a stroll and think about how great it was.
I love that. Classic psychology or modern day self-help?
Modern day self-help.
Yeah, I don't even need to ask you why.
Well, that was classic psychology was designed for, we all looked at Freud and how he was all about talking about it. It didn't work. That's from the 50s. It's outdated now.
Yeah, totally agree. Podcast or book?
Podcast.
Of course.
Because I can listen to it in the car. A book keeps me hostage, but a podcast I can listen to wherever I am, even in the bath.
Yeah, I get that. Morning affirmations or evening reflection?
Morning affirmations. You want to set yourself up for success by saying great things in the morning.
London hustle or beachside calm?
Beachside calm.
I thought you might say that. Marisa Peer, I have fangirled you for a long time. It has been an honour to have you on the AURA Skypool Podcast.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so much. You too. Thank you.
Oh, I don't even know what to say other than I just feel so good. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast as much as I have. Put all your comments in the bottom so we can discuss. What did you learn from this? What did you get from Marisa? Let's have a conversation in the comments. Until next time.
This podcast was hosted by brand marketing expert QB Springer and produced by Avant Garde Brand Experiences and AURA Skypool.